Hi there. In today's video, I'm going to show you how we can create Fabric shortcut transformations to Amazon S3. So let's get started. This is my Fabric landing page. I'm going to come to my AWS account and I'm currently in the Amazon S3 service. So the first thing I want to do is to create a bucket, which I've done. So I'm going to click on General Purpose Buckets and I've got this Cornerstone Solutions 01 bucket created. I'm going to click on that and I don't have any folder or any files. So what I'm going to do is to create a folder within this bucket. So I'm going to click on create folder. I can even choose the option to upload the files directly into this bucket, but it's a good thing to organize your files inside specific folders if you have many files to work with. So we want to create a folder and let's call this one sales files, and I can see all the details. I'm going to go down to the bottom and click on create folder. So this is going to be created nice and easy, and we can see the folder at the bottom here. So I'm going to click on the folder we just created and I can use the upload functionality. So I'm going to bring in quickly some few sales files into this created folder. So I can see the option to bring all the files. I can also bring individual the folders and the files. So let's just bring in CSV files. So click on this add files and I want to bring in this AWS sales 2023.csv. I'm going to double click and I'm going to go down to the bottom and click on upload. And this is now uploaded in a matter of seconds. And you can see AWS sales 2023.csv. Cool. Now, in order for us to be able to create the Fabric shortcut transformation, it's really important we create a user and attach the necessary policy in the AWS IAM service. So I'm going to quickly duplicate this tab. So in the search menu, I'm going to search for the IAM and I can see the manage access to AWS resources. So give that a click. And I'm going to, on the left hand side, I can see the access management. We've got the user groups, we have the users, roles, policies, and so on and so forth. So we're going to create a policy and attach it to a user. So first, I'm going to create a user. So I'm going to click on users. You can see the option to create a user. So click on this, create user. I'm just going to call this on Abiola David. You can use whatever name you like. And I'm going to just leave everything as it is for now. Click on next. And I can see the permission options. We have the add user to group. We can also copy permissions from one user to another user. We can also attach policy directly. So I'm going to use this attach policy directly to the newly created user. So this is going to be step number 2, set permissions for the user. So I'm going to click on this. And then we have a bunch of permission lists. Now we have 1,403, and this can be quite overwhelming if you don't know which of the policy that is needed to be attached. Now we only need the administrator access, that is the AWS manage job function type policy to be attached to the user. So I'm going to click on this and that's enough. And I'm going to go down to the bottom and I can see the option to click on the next. And we can see all the details we can review. And then once we're happy, we can go ahead and create. So all of these are good. We can see the administrator access permission we're actually granting. And I'm going to go to the bottom and click on create user. And this is now created under the username, and that's awesome. I'm going to give that a click. Now we want to create our access key because we're going to need this access key and the secret key in order to be able to authenticate to our AWS S3 in order to be able to get our data using the Fabric shortcut transformation. So to create the access key, I'm going to click on create access key right here. And I can see we've got a bunch of best practices and alternatives. So we can use the key in our command line interface, the CLI. We can use the local code, application running on AWS compute service, third party, and so on and so forth. So we want to use the access key on the third party service, that is Microsoft Fabric. So I'm going to click on third party service and I'm going to go down to the bottom and click on next. Oh, by the way, I need to confirm whether the above recommendation and I want to proceed. Yes, I'm happy. Click on this and click on next. And we can give a description if we choose, but this is completely optional. So I can forget about this and click on create access key. And this is now created nice and easy. There's an option for you to download this in the CSV file in order for you to save for the future, but I'm not going to do that. I'm just going to use what I did here. So I can see the access key and of course the ultimate secret access key. So I'm going to maintain this tab and I'm going to come to the Microsoft Fabric. So let's quickly just provision a workspace. Let me call this on my shortcut. You can use whatever name you like as usual. And once I'm happy, I'm going to click on apply and the workspace is now created. So we want to provision a Fabric Lakehouse. So I will come to the new item and I will set for Lakehouse and I'm going to give that a click. Let's just call this on demo AWS LH. And once I'm happy with the name, oh, by the way, I need to use underscore. So let me just pull them together using the underscore and I'm going to click on create. So this is now created and we can go to the core part of this video, which is to create the Fabric shortcut transformations as a delta table in our Fabric Lakehouse. So I can see the Lakehouse has been deployed and we're good to go. So we want to create this as a delta table, which we can use to perform querying, reporting, and so on and so forth. So I'm going to come to the tables and I'm going to right click, or I can even click on this ellipsis. They are the same thing. And I can see the option to create new shortcut. Click on that. And we're going to be seeing this window. So we've got the internal source, which include the Microsoft OneLake, and of course we have the external sources like the Amazon S3 compatible Azure Blob Storage, the AWS Gen 2, which I've covered recently, and of course we have the Dataverse and the GCS, that is the Google Cloud Storage. So I've got videos on most of all of this except the Dataverse. So today we want to focus on the Amazon S3 service. So I'm going to click on that. And then we need to create a new connection if we don't have any existing connection. So we want to create a new connection because we want to do everything in detail. So we're going to see this connection settings. So we need to provide the URL that points to the file in our AWS S3 bucket. So to get the URL, I'm going to come here and I can see I've got the AWS sales 2023.csv. Now we don't want to pick only a single file. We want to pick all the files in our bucket. So I'm going to click on this just to be able to access the object URL. So I'm going to copy all of this and then I'm going to come here, Ctrl V to paste, and we can see all the details. So I'm going to exclude all of this part because that's not needed based on example. So we just need the cornerstone solution, that is the name of the bucket, and then the region where this bucket is actually resident dot amazonaws.com. So that's what is needed. So this role ARN is a new functionality. So this can completely be disregarded because we've not created any role for this operation. So I'm going to leave this out. It's not going to impact what we're doing. So I'm going to come to the connection credentials and then I'm going to just give this a name. Let's call this one AWS bucket connection. You can use whatever name you like, and then the data gateway doesn't apply because this is not an on-premise data integration. This is in the cloud. So we want to come to the authentication kind. So basically we just have the access key and the service principal. So this is actually a new one because in the past we have the access key only. So I'm going to cover the access key today, and maybe in a future video I'm going to cover how we can use the service principal to authenticate. So I'm going to maintain the access key and then we need the access key ID. So that's exactly what we've got in the access key we just created. So I'm going to copy this access key and I'm going to come here and I'm going to Ctrl V to paste, and for the secret access key I'm going to come here and then just copy this and I'm going to Ctrl V to paste, and that's all we need to do. So if this is done correctly, which of course is done correctly, we're going to be able to move to the next intermediate stage. So I'm going to click on next. Amazing. So as soon as we're able to see this next page without any error, that means we are fully authenticated. So the next is to determine whether I want to enable cache for shortcuts. So we can see data access through shortcuts in this workspace will be cached in OneLake. This data will remain in the cache up to the defined retention period. So if this is fine with us, which is of course fine, we want to just maintain this. Let's just do it maybe 1 day or 2 days, whatever. But let's just do 2 days and click on next. And then we're going to see the Cornerstone Solutions bucket, and then we can see the sales folder we created. So I'm going to just click on this and I can see the AWS sales 2023.csv. Absolutely cool. So I'm going to select this. I can even select this. That's fine. And click on next. So we are in the transform page. So we can say auto transform applied. And this is cool. So this detected the comma as the delimiter of our source file in that folder of the AWS S3 container or bucket. So this is fine. I'm going to click on next. And then we can see the next thing to be done. So we have the name of the shortcut, we have the source, and so on and so forth. So we can always make modification to all of this if we choose to, but this is fine just for demonstration purposes, and then click on create. So this is going to now create the amazing Fabric shortcut transformations to the AWS S3 bucket. So I'm just going to wait for some couple of moments, and this should give us the shortcut. So we can see what's going on here. We have the sales underscore files. And as soon as this is completed with a successful notification, we're going to see that this is going to be turned to a Delta table pointing to a shortcut that has been transformed, and we are almost there. So unidentified, that's no problem because this actually still going on here. If I open this, I can see this is still in progress. So as soon as this is done successfully, we're going to see our Delta table in the table section here. So this is now completed successfully, and I can click on this to refresh the lakehouse, and there we go. We have the sales files, and this is now a Delta table. So I'm going to click on that. Cool. So we have all the data. We can see all the columns. We can see all the rows. So you observe that the shortcut transformation is actually working as expected. So we've got the order date, which is properly interpreted as a date column, and of course we have the integer like the month number, the sales as a double data types, and so on. And then on the right hand side we've got this file path, which is actually pointing to the file in that folder of the AWS S3 bucket. So this is going to be included for the 2024, 2025, and so on and so forth. That is absolutely cool. So we can go ahead and use this to create our semantic model and start building our report, and that's beautiful. Now let's check what happens if we load the sales 2024 into that folder, whether it's going to automatically be picked up or not. So before I do that, you can see we've got all of this record here. We have just 22 rows for the 2023 sales data. So I'm going to come back here, and I'm going to come back to my cornerstone solution bucket, and I can see the sales files folder we created, and I want to go ahead and bring in more files. So click on add or upload data, and let's just add files. So let's just add 2024 and 2025.csv, and I can see them provisioned here. I'm going to go ahead and click on upload, and this is now uploaded. So cool. So based on Microsoft documentation, we just have to wait for maybe 3 minutes or less in order for us to be able to see the changes, that is the newly added data. So this is just an incremental loading in Microsoft Fabric. So while that's going on, I can come here and click on this ellipsis, and there's an option to manage the shortcut. So when I click on that, we're going to be able to see all the details such as the property name, the target type, the target location, shortcut location, and then we can see every other important details. So at the bottom here, we have the option. So the last sync occurred at 1:39 p.m. today, November the 8th, and then we can see the status is succeeded. So this is the job ID, and we have the status as succeeded. We have the start time and the duration and the rest. So we can say this actually spinning, and this is going to in 2 minutes just check whether we have data in the S3 folder of the bucket. So as soon as we have data uploaded, then this is going to provision that to run the next execution. So I'm just going to wait for some couple of moments. All right, so we can see we have the new in progress, and then we have the start time and so on. So this is the job ID for the next run. So I'm just going to wait for some seconds, and as soon as this succeeded, then we can come back here, refresh the sales files Delta table, and we should be able to see the transaction for the year 2024 and year 2025. So this succeeded. Brilliant. So I'm going to quickly just refresh the entire URL, and there we go. So we have 74 rows. Absolutely fantastic. I can switch to the SQL analytics endpoint just to see this again, just to verify. So when I expand this DBO and expand the tables, click on the sales files Delta table, and we should be able to say we have the record for the 2024. And then when I scroll down to the bottom, we can see 2025 and then the 2023. And then for the file path, this is just like a metadata, as I've said. So we can say the AWS sales 2024.csv. So when I go down to the bottom, we can say for the 2025 and then for the 2023. So we can go ahead and just build our semantic model and then start creating our Power BI reports. So this simply means that as soon as we load the 2026, for example, into this location, this is going to automatically be included in an incremental data loading manner, and that's really cool. Now, the last thing you want to actually do is to ensure that your source date format is actually in this year, month, and the day. Okay, so this is really important. Otherwise, this transformation won't work. So you want to make sure that your date columns in your source files maintains this date format. That's really cool. Now, another thing is that for now, we don't have the schema evolution working in the shortcut transformations, and the Microsoft people are actually working on this. So this is going to be an amazing functionality as soon as we have the schema evolution now built into the shortcut transformation. This simply means that we can actually add more columns to feature files, and then they will be absorbed into the Delta table. But for now, this is how we can create Fabric shortcut transformations to AWS S3 buckets. I trust you enjoyed this video. If you do, please like, share, comment, and subscribe to the channel because there's a lot to come. Thank you for watching. Bye for now. Cheers.